going to the track, but we're not tracking our cars. I fell asleep last night at like 3 in the morning, and I would have to wake up by like 4:30 in the morning to start driving by 5 to make it to the track by 7. It's hard having to drive 2.5 hours down to the track after you only slept for about 2 hours and then spend all day there driving. A buddy of ours, he's doing a Hooked on Driving day and invited us, and I wanted to go. But last night, after getting the cars ready, all of it took so much time that I just don't feel like it was a good idea for me to wake up with only 2 hours of sleep and then drive all the way down and do the track day. We've done it. We've done track days with about 2 hours of sleep, and it's just not fun. Let me just not go, sleep in, wake up late. So now we're going to the track day at NJMP, Hooked on Driving, but we're not driving. We're just going to see some friends. So I typically park the Speed at my mom's house, and it's been like a month or so since I have started it. Battery was dead. It took forever to recharge and start up, but eventually I got it to start up. And the battery is dead. Woo! Yesterday, the battery was dead, so we jump-started the car. We drove it for like 40 minutes, brought it home. This morning, car wouldn't start. Same thing, battery was dead. Everything's okay right now, but because the power steering pump, power steering pulley is electronically activated and the battery is a little low on voltage, if I try to turn the wheel more than, let's say, like 35 or 45 degrees, the power steering will cut out. Sometimes the lights on the dash will come up. If you have a Speed 3 and you have to jump start your car, you might notice this. You might notice that the power steering does that. All right, we're gonna do a little pull. We still have an hour left on this drive. We're cruising at like 80 miles per hour, 6th gear. Hopefully it's not too loud. I wanted to take this time, we have another hour on the road, to talk about this car and how I got it. It's a 2012 MazdaSpeed3. It's got the tech package. I bought it with 152,000 miles, just about. I always wanted a Speed 3. My first car ever was a black 2008 Mazda 3. It wasn't the Speed, and it was an automatic. I was 17 years old. I didn't want to get a Speed because it was so expensive, but the Mazda 3 was pretty good. I bought it, and then I crashed it 2 months into my ownership, so that really hurt. Over the course of time, I bought different cars, but I really always wanted a Mazda 3, specifically a Speed 3. I bought a red Mazda 3 hatchback, a 2008 red Mazda 3 hatchback, 5-speed manual with a 2.3 motor, and that's the car that I learned manual on. That's the car that I daily drove for a couple years, and now that is my dedicated track car. That Mazda 3 is the naturally aspirated one. It's also got a 2.5 motor swap in there, but I never had the Speed. I still wanted a Speed. I would look at Facebook Marketplace and look for MazdaSpeed3s. I never wanted to buy one from Facebook Marketplace because they were all so bad. The quality of them, like just the way that they looked, they were rusted out, were modded in a way that I didn't like. None of them looked to me like they would be reliable enough. Like my friend Andy, he works for Lexus, and he's got a coworker. They're both Lexus techs. The coworker, his wife, wants to sell her Speed 3. I'm in the market for a Speed 3. It took a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months, because the guy was on vacation. Around March of this year, I met up with him. The Lexus tech, he took the Speed into the dealership and did all the maintenance. And when I looked at the car looked pretty good. I trusted him a little bit more because he was a Lexus technician. So I checked out the car, I drove it around, and I liked it, and I liked the price. Comparing this car to the cars that went on Facebook Marketplace, this is a better car. It was a private sale. It never went on any kind of website listing. I was the only person that purchased it once it was available for sale because he didn't put it on Facebook or Craigslist or anything. So I'm happy about that. The modifications he did to it, hopefully I remember all of them. There's a Cobb cold air intake, high performance fuel pump, downpipe, a resonator delete, stock mufflers. It's tuned. He tuned it with Cobb OTS off the shelf tune. I got a freak tune. Once I got it, I did all the fluids. I did the oil, I did the coolant, I did all the brake fluid. The turbo seals were going bad, so I'm probably gonna have to put a new turbo in here eventually. I installed this shift knob. I didn't like the shift knob that they had. I powder coated the wheels because the stock wheels were a little scuffed up and there was some curbing on the rims, so powder coated them black to match the black exterior. I put fresh tires on them, sticky summer tires. I detailed the entire interior of the car. I installed this head unit, $200 from Amazon. I've taken it to the track once or twice. I don't like to track it because it's not track prepped. I would probably do the suspension and the brakes. It's a good daily driver. It's a good weekend cruiser. It's really loud. Sounds great. I bought this car because I always wanted it when I saw a Speed on Facebook or Craigslist. All looked not great. Rusted out quarter panels. Terrible alignment, terrible suspension geometry, like too much camber, or they cut into the fenders and gave over fenders. This car came with a tune, it came with a Cobb access port. I really like the car. It's a lot of car for these New Jersey roads. I love putting it in, third, fourth gear and taking up to 120, 140 miles per hour. But there's just not a lot of room to be able to do that here in New Jersey. I put the car up for sale. This car basically lives at my parents' driveway because I don't have room in my house and my driveway for it, and I don't drive it every day, so I don't want it taking up space. Average fuel economy. We're averaging 24.3 miles per gallon. I have a couple cars. I have my daily, which is the Honda Insight Hybrid, and then I have my track car, which is my 2008 Mazda 3 hatchback. 2.5 motor swap in there. It's not fast at all. It's got like 170 horsepower, but it's nice in the turns. It's super cheap to maintain. Fixing it up is easy. I can do it myself. So that's my track car. Porsche Cayenne diesel. My track tow car. Plus, it's just a nice car to have when you want to be in something nice. And then I have this car. I was happy with 3 cars. Now I have 4 cars. This is the 4th one. Didn't anticipate getting it, but I always wanted one since I was a kid. Since I was 16 and I wanted cars. This is the car that I always wanted. You accumulate things over time. So over time I've accumulated these cars, and they all serve a purpose. I'm trying to figure out what purpose this serves, other than feeding my childhood dream. We've arrived. Lightning. We made it. What are we working on?
Hey.